And we realize just because we have a vision doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be a straight line there. There's going to be many obstacles, many situations that we have to overcome along the way. But our job is to continue to realize that all we can do is what's required right now. All right. We're about to start Mindset Mastery in just a few minutes. This is my current view of my room here in Punta de Mita, here in Mexico. And we're going to go over a few things today. So good morning to you all. Please jump on board, say hi. Hello, good morning to you, Amir. Good morning to you, Claudia. I see a few of you on here already. Good morning. Let's see here. We got Nick. What's going on, my brother? All right, Jermaine, what is going on, brother? Missed you guys at the gym today. Good morning, Bonnie. Sergio, what's going on, my brother? I'll see you later today. And again, I'm here in Punta de Mita in Mexico. And this is a room from my hotel room. It's just a beautiful sight. I'm literally just a few steps. Good morning, Jesse. Just a few steps. Good morning, Carla. What's going on, sweet cheeks? Just a few steps from the beach right there. Got people walking, enjoying themselves. And all I can say is, swim to that mountain. All right. Not trying to make you jealous by any means, right? Not that, just very, very appreciative, right? Because I'm here with my family. I'm here in a just like an amazing hotel, amazing experience thus far. And you know this by now. Like anytime I share my personal endeavors, anytime I share the personal goals that I've met or are currently working on, it's never to say, look what I have. It's more like I can't believe my life has actually come out to be this way, right? And I think oftentimes when you don't come from a place where this was abundant in your life, all we can do is really just sit back and appreciate, because we're the ones in charge. If you think about that, write that phrase, you're in charge. You're in charge of how you want to be able to proceed and what you're able to create in your world. And I think we forget that sometimes, because sometimes we're under the thumb of our past generational behaviors, the wiring we've had for so many years, that we don't realize that we can create things that we thought were impossible. This is the first time that we were able to go on a trip where we were hands off completely. First time we hired a travel agent to secure our plane tickets, to secure the hotel, to provide us all the details of what we're going to experience as we're here. Like, this is the first time. And it gets me thinking about how, many of us get into this industry to hopefully create something that we thought was beyond us, right? And I see so many agents coming through. Last week, we hired like 4 new agents. And I can tell those that are going to excel. I can tell those based on the characteristics of who's going to move faster than others. But I think in those same situations, I've seen people that I thought were going to completely kill it and dominate in this space just flounder altogether. And I think the pressures of wanting to create something big and not getting it fast enough does that to all of us, top producers. I mean, I was out there last week in Laguna, in Dana Point, California, Orange County. And I went to my coach's house. And some of you already know this, but I was inside this $20 million home. And I'm just, I'm so overwhelmed by just the beauty of this home. It's like a mini resort. And just the surroundings, very similar to this, right on the beach. And I started thinking about, the type of person it takes to be able to create that. But at the same time, as we're going in and writing down our business plan, and something we're going to experience as well, we have business plan meetings coming up here in the next couple of weeks. You'll all be notified of this. But as I'm going through my business plan, I allowed my perspective to go beyond what I thought was possible. And guess what? It didn't necessarily serve me at that point. I felt a little overwhelmed about the big ambitions. I felt overwhelmed about where I needed to go and the work I needed to put in. I was just overwhelmed. In fact, when I got back, I wasn't fired up necessarily. I wasn't fired up to go and create. I wasn't fired up to go and put in the work. I thought about all the many steps that I needed to take to get there. As a matter of fact, I didn't even think about the steps. I thought about the goal that I wanted. It was too big for me to even grasp. It was too big for me to even comprehend. I was reading this book as on my flight over here, and it's a new book by Will Smith. And it's a very entertaining book thus far. I've only gotten into the first few chapters, but he gave this analogy about how his dad, wanted him to build this block wall. And it's a block wall that took him and his brother almost a year. And he said every day he walked into that dreading the fact that he needed to get this wall built. It was an enormous wall, but all he could focus on was what it needed to be, the result, right? And sometimes when we focus too much on the result, we get overwhelmed with the fact that we only have to take one step at a time. He said at the moment he took his eyes off the end result and just focused on the fact that he needed just to lay bricks and make sure that it was done perfectly, that it laid level, that everything was in line, that his days went by faster. And surely he got the wall, completed. But it was a step-by-step process where he didn't focus so much on the end results. And some of you have thought this year was going to be a $20 million year, a $30 million year. And when you don't get that, sometimes we're like overwhelmed by the fact that it's never going to happen. The realities are this. Our job is to help buyers buy and sellers sell. And when we get into this concept of now I have to go look for some more buyers, now I have to look for more sellers, it defeats the entire reason why you're here as a real estate agent. That is part of your job. And the 15 million, the 20 million, the 50 million that you have in the future, it's going to happen. But it's going to happen on the daily deposits we put in every single day, right? On the things that we can do right now, on the text messages we can send right now, on the emails, on the follow-up, on the social media marketing. That's the only way we'll be able to ultimately get what we want. If you would have told me I would have been sitting here where a travel agent would have planned everything out for me, where we have a 2-bedroom suite right on the beach, I would have told you that's crazy. I just can't be in that position. I can't leave the office. I can't do so many things. It just won't happen. But because I've done the small daily deposits, it's allowed me now to create something much bigger. And now I have a greater vision. And I proclaimed this to a small group of individuals that we were talking to on text last week. What I create in 2022 is going to be a fraction of what I've created thus far. Now, those are big words, right? But you're able to say and proclaim these big things when you know you can be consistent, when you trust yourself. And we realize just because we have a vision doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be a straight line there. There's going to be many obstacles, many situations that we have to overcome along the way. But our job is to continue to realize that all we can do is what's required right now. I had a very semi-disappointing week with my daughter this past week. She had to go out for tryouts. And she belonged to this club for the last 7, 8 years. That's one of the best in the nation, right? So many girls from all around the city come in. We got people from the East Valley, from the West Valley, from the North Side, from every area of the city coming in to try out for this particular team. Now, my daughter this year has been her greatest year in high school. And if you've been kind of following along on these mindset masteries, it was a rough year for her last year. And one of the things that I kept breathing into her was, this is going to be your year, Abigail. This year is going to be your year. But it's only going to be your year if you do the required work. It's not going to be given to you. What you don't realize is that anybody can be great at practice, but it's what we do outside of practice, what we do in our own time that will separate us from the rest. She was so disappointed last year. I remember her words. She said, "Dad, I am going to grind all summer. I am going to grind." She had that vision of being on the court. She had that vision before, but she didn't realize the work it needed to take. But now she understood. And many of you have that same vision of what it takes to be successful in this industry. You have to grind. You have to work. You can't be afraid of making sure that you're in your business every single day. Now, I understand there's a life-work balance, but listen, it's a circle. I heard Jeff Bezos say that. I read this article this morning. He said, work-life balance is more like a circle. It's a circle. It's not one or the other. One propels the other one to roll, right? Because I've put so much emphasis on what I do as a career, I can now bring my balance with me. So we got to understand that. So Abigail says, I'm going to grind all summer, because she understood that the only way to get to that next level, she has to grind. She has to hone in on her skill set. She has to build her capacity mentally. And that's exactly what she did. She grinded. She grinded all summer. She was in the gym by herself. She was practicing. She was doing all these things that I know most kids wouldn't do. And she was selected as the team captain for her team in high school. And just because you hit certain milestones doesn't mean it's always going to be that way. She worked her ass off to get there, right? Not only that, she got the first team all region. She was selected on the first team all region. So she was a special kid. But it doesn't mean just because you do special things right now, it's going to carry over to the next phase. The reality is we got to continue that grind. It does not stop just because there's a small glimpse of success. Just because you close 4 or 5 deals doesn't always mean it's going to be that way. The grind never stops. The work never stops. And we have to be able to continue to make those necessary deposits there. Otherwise, we will fall back. Abigail's coming off her best year. So we go into these tryouts, and there's about 90 girls trying to vie for these 12 positions. 90 girls. Like, how do you separate yourself from that, right? 90 girls. And I'm looking at her, and I'm even seeing her lost in the sea of just girls trying to vie for these positions. She goes up to her coach, and mind you, this is the same club that she's been on for many, many years. And the coach said, I'm not sure if you're going to be able to make the cut. So that's a decision she now needs to make. So just imagine, as I'm waiting for her in the car after practice, and she comes in and she has this look. I felt helpless, right? Helpless that I couldn't make things better for her. And one of the things that she reminded me of, and I'm glad she brought this up, she said, Dad, you told me this was going to be my year. She was so disappointed, right? She didn't know which way to go. She's only 16 years old. She says, you told me this was going to be my year. And I think we've tend to forget, because I see so much like just growth. I see so much qualities in many of you, most of you. As a matter of fact, if I've met with you, I've seen all those qualities, right? In all of you to know that you have what it takes to get to that next level. But I can't be responsible for your end result. My job is just to breathe that positivity, to be able to pinpoint the things that I see. Just like my coach was able to pinpoint a few things that he's able to see in me. Then he painted this big picture, and I'm like, oh my God. Doesn't mean just because he saw it and I was able to see it for a second, it's going to happen. In fact, it's going to require so much beyond that. But she tells me, Dad, you told me this was going to be my year. And I think we all realize that just because we have this great vision, just because we have momentum, doesn't mean it always continues on without a hitch, without a problem, without obstacles. And I told her, Abigail, you just can't sit there and disregard everything you've built to this point and say it's not your year. Did you forget you were the starter for your high school team? Did you forget you made the first team all region? Did you forget that you had the greatest year? You learned all these leadership skills. You honed on your skill sets. You got stronger. You got faster. Did you forget? At the moment of an obstacle, at the moment of a hardship, we tend to forget how great we truly are. When we face these obstacles, it's not meant to shut us down, but to realize that the vision hasn't left. The end result doesn't mean it's going to go away or dissipate just because it doesn't go our way. It just means we have to pivot. It means that we have to make the moves that are congruent with what we want to create. So we had to make a decision. Here in this club, she was like, a dime a dozen. All these girls are great. In fact, in my personal opinion, I don't think she was given a fair shot. I think there was still a vision of her of who she was last year. She was good. She made the first team last year. But she wasn't given an opportunity to showcase the hard work she put in. So she was pigeonholed, right? She's not the most, dominating figure out there. She's not 6 foot tall. She's not, 150 pounds of pure muscle. She's smart. She's agile. She understands the fundamentals. She rarely makes mistakes. So it's not like this shock and awe type of individual, but she gets the work done. She gets the job done each and every time. And it was demonstrated there in her high school year. So a part of me felt that she was pigeonholed on the person she was last year. Right? Not giving the fair shot of who she could become or who she is today. But that's irrelevant. And it only becomes relevant when you quit. It only would become relevant if she quit. Or she can continue to press the fact that she understands that she's a great player. And she has all this history behind her, all this experience. So we had to make a decision. And we decided to make a move to a different club. And it's amazing how things work out, right? And sometimes when we don't make a decision will be made for you. And oftentimes it's not the best one, but sometimes it's the best. Sometimes it's exactly what we needed to get us out of our comfort zone. I mean, if I look at what we did last year, she wasn't the happiest there. And she knew she needed to go, but she got a little comfortable. She made the move. And in this environment, they saw it right away. They saw her skill set as a hitter. They saw her skill set as a passer. They even complimented her on her speed and agility. So maybe this is her year. Maybe this is exactly who she was going to become. But we can't always go based on the judgments and the opinions of others. Listen, you may be pigeonholed in your own family, with your own spouse, with your own siblings, your own parents, about who you are. And they're only going to be right if you stay there. Abigail knew that with the work that she put in, she knew that she can see something greater for herself, and she's going to demonstrate that. And here's the beautiful thing about this. Now she has a chip on her shoulder. And chips are good. Listen, guys, too many times we've been disappointed when we allow it just to beat us down. How about we use that as a resource for fuel? How about we use that as a resource to get what we want? Who's told you couldn't do it? Who made you feel small? Like, use that to fuel you, to showcase that you are not that person, but the person you've created here. And the person you've seen getting those results. I've mentioned this many times before. The only reason I think I'm here and making the moves that I'm making is because I carry these chips. I need that. I need that. Because I know I'm willing to do the work. I'm willing to go through the grind. I'm willing to weather the storm to get what I want. So listen, 2021 might have been your year. Or maybe you left something on the table. Maybe you allowed these outside influences to bring you down. Maybe things weren't as easy as you thought they were going to be. Now the real question is, what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? And that's the beautiful thing about seeing perspective, seeing a different perspective, is that you can always have the upper hand. You will never, ever lose in this game unless you quit. Like, there is no time constraint here. You can get what you want. So just like I was overwhelmed coming back from Dana Point, I'm fired up now because I know what I can create. And although it's outside my capacity right now, it's like outside my reach, I have to build those skill sets. But guess what? I will. Because my history has shown me and has demonstrated that it's only a matter of time before I'm able to create that. And you have too, every one of you. So we have to lean into that and understand that, hey, listen, I'm in this game for the long haul. Regardless of what the results are right now, my job is to continue the grind. So guys, I want to thank you for joining me through this episode of Mindset Mastery. I hope that you're able to get any little tidbit from this conversation just to go out there and go after what you want, regardless of what your year was. Some of you, it's been the best year ever. For some of you, you know you left something on the table. But it doesn't mean it starts in January 1st. It starts right now. Your job is just to focus on laying that brick, right? Laying that brick today. Not realizing and not focusing so much that you're below that $20 million mark that you wanted. Your job is just to get the job done today. So follow the 12-week target, but text people, put up your social media, follow up with your prospects. It's all a simple game plan to get you closer to what you ultimately desire. So thanks again, guys. I really appreciate you. And I hope that you find this inspiring to go after what you want. Guys, I'm pushing the envelope this year, and I hope you come along with me. I really do. I really hope we get out of our comfort zones. I really hope we get out of these generational boxes that we've been put into. We can create outside of that. And I'm so excited about what 2022 is going to bring for us. I really am. There's going to be some challenges out there. You know this. Things are not always going to be this way. but I'm prepared for the challenge because I prepared my entire life for exactly this. And so have you. So put the doubt away and let's get to work. Guys, I'm going to go ahead and flip this around. Thank you again. Really appreciate you, and I'll talk to you soon. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Badass Agents Podcast, brought to you by AZ & Associates and Do the Work Coaching and Consulting. You can watch this and other episodes by subscribing to our channel on YouTube or by visiting us directly at badassagents.com. And of course, you can listen to this episode and many others on your preferred podcast provider.